Welcome, educators, parents, and scholar gamers, to the Academy of Esports Episode 22, Interview with Stuart Kosters. I'm your host, James O'Hagan. This is the podcast where I delve into topics surrounding esports and education. Esports are organized competitive video games allowing schools to redefine their athletic culture, diversify opportunities for student participation, promote physical and mental health, increase collegiate scholarship pathways, and play games. We cannot forget the importance of play. The mission of the Academy of Esports is to support these ideals. The vision of the Academy of Esports is for all students to experience the fun and joy of playing competitive video games. In this episode, I interview Stuart Kosters. He is a lecturer at Staffordshire University, and he has spearheaded what is believed to be the first university degree program specific to esports. Yes, by combining elements of a gaming program and a business program, he has really started to look beyond the games to help bring in students from divergent backgrounds around a common interest in esports. Stuart shares his insights, surprises, and key takeaways as he worked to build this unique program. And now my interview with Stuart Kosters. This is James O'Hagan, the host of the Academy of Esports, and I'm here with Stuart Kosters from the University of Staffordshire in England. Stuart, thank you for being on the podcast.
No problem. It's always a pleasure. I'm a big fan of your podcast.
Thank you very well. I'm a big fan of your work. Stuart, you're at the University of Staffordshire, but a lot of people may not know what you do or why I'm even talking to you today. So if you wouldn't mind share a little bit about yourself and your role there at the university.
Sure. So I'm a past student at Staffordshire University. I studied games design as something I was really passionate about. Finished that, got a degree with honours, and then I went on to specialise into something that I'm really passionate about also, which is esports. I hope not many people have done extracurriculum into esports, and I think it's a great area for education to grow. So I studied a master's, and I completed a master's with a specialism into esports events management and business. And then the university really liked my work, so they kind of came up with the idea that we'll grow a esports course out on that. So they employed me as a lecturer in business, and I specialize in esports in that.
Well, you know, Staffordshire, I know a couple weeks ago I interviewed a gentleman from Joey Gariziak from Shenandoah University. And I know they have a program as well, but Staffordshire was the first one, wasn't your school to come up? Basically, you're the godfather of this idea of putting esports and making it a college degree track. Is that correct?
Yeah, so with the first degree, I know there's similar versions, but none of them are actually degree. So we had to go through putting the white paper in, etc., which was fantastic because we have an incredible games school, we have an incredible business school, and it was the perfect merger for two factions to get together and formulate a degree that matches the growth of this awesome industry that is esports. And we kind of put that together, and I got accepted. And next thing you know, we've built great facilities and got fantastic students. It's gone crazy.
But before you even got there, where did the idea? Let's take you back to where the idea came from, because the idea had to start somewhere, right?
Sure.
It's funny how in my story, how I got involved in esports was about 5 years ago, and it was just a casual conversation I had with an assistant superintendent of our school district. Was there kind of a similar moment with your program and your work?
Sure. It was actually quite similar, really, because we met with the deans of both the business and games school, and Dr. Bobby Fletcher, who is the head of games at our school. She is very aware of trending in inside games and how the industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and she was very aware of the changes that are happening, and it kind of grew from a discussion there. And next thing we know, we've been talking to Yuki, who challenged a white paper.
What's Yuki?
Oh, cool. So Yuki is kind of our academic founding industry. They support all academic games, especially related across the UK.
Okay.
So they support projects basically. We talked to them. They challenged the white paper idea. Then Rachel Gowers, who's the Associate Dean at the Business School, met with Dr. Bobby Fletcher. We all sat down together. We devised a plan and put it together, wrote a description of modules that we best suit after talking to industry, that they said would be good to match the growth of the industry, so include roles that are very relevant inside esports into the taught modules. And then that was put out, and it all got accepted, and it's kind of been really the past and the history, and the future is now. So.
But that's you kind of, I know the story to you is probably something that feels so matter of fact right now, but for a lot of people, especially I work in public education in the United States, so I deal with students who are not yet at college or university. And what you just described is something that a lot of people feel that they run up against administrators who are not supportive. They don't understand gaming. So your story is, while to you may feel very natural and just kind of happened, and it was just all this great, you were in the right place at the right time. It really is a story, I think, that is a really one that is an important story, and shouldn't be downplayed, because it does show. For example, I know Rachel Gowers. I know she's been a great supporter of you and this programming work, because we all chatted before, and it's really a fantastic thing that you have going there. And now it's being copied, and it's not just being copied by little universities like Shenandoah. It's Ohio State University, which is one of the largest universities in the United States, said, "Hey, we want to do this as well too." Have they reached out to you or anybody else? So
I have been contacted by quite a few different international universities, and the national universities here have just put out their white paper, and they've just two have just been accepted actually, and they are following similar suits, and I think that's. It could obviously have been considered as a competition, but I think this is the start of something new. I think this is the start of something great, because I think it means that we can do one thing. But I've seen then, as an example, one other university, they're focusing more on the psychology and of behind how the affects players and nutritional aspects, which is similar to what I want to go into my PhD. And I think that's great, because I think we can specialize in one area and offer that to a group of individuals that want to get into the business and the analytics of esports. They can offer another thing. And I think that the more we come together across the globe and bring this educational need for esports to come out, we can support the industry and get people who are really interested in this type of thing into an industry that they love. And I think that's the real passion about it.
Now, as I've started to see, and I'm sure you have too, you've started to see people start to dip their toes into esports who are not gamers, right? Sure. Educators especially are trying to understand what this is all about, because they see it. They see their students are very excited by it. But your major is, as you kind of alluded to, your major is not about just playing video games, right?
Yes.
The degree program is not just, we're going to sit here and play video games for 4 years and then you're going to walk away with a bachelor's in Fortnite or anything like that, right?
If only it was that easy.
Yeah. So explain to an educator what this degree program may look like, because, as we try to counsel children into this field, there's a lot of people who just don't know what a degree like this would even entail or what it would look like. So what does the degree program actually run through? What kind of subjects and material does it run through?
Sure. So it pretty much, because it is a business degree, it falls in the business school. It has a mix of games as well. So you could start, we asked industry what type of things you would like, and they said on that, well, it'd be great on that for obviously people who have a passion for broadcasting, but they love esports. If you could combine that together. So we've built a state-of-the-art facility for broadcasting. So we had the BBC as an example come and evaluate one of the modules and see what they think and the equipment. And it's skills that are transferable that we teach on the module that is, say they didn't want to stick in esports, they could take somewhere else, even though we know the growth is there anyway. But they could learn things like producer, vision mixer, sound technician, visual artist, all of these type of elements, and that's just one side. Then you've got other ones like caster. So we actually spoke to a couple of the lads who are running the league casters for FIFA now. They actually came and visited us. Brandon, as an example, came and did a talk, spoke to the students, and he told them tips about what they'll be learning on the module and what he's found in his past experience. So we've got casting in there and producing. We've also got analysis. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I do the same thing.
My words. We've also got some great people who want to go into the events management, be the like line managers of the like a arena. They want to produce the actual work that goes out. They want to be team leaders. So kind of really expanding in all of those. But then we've got the fundamentals as well. So like a PR marketing manager. We've got the sound technician, all of these kind of aspects on that part of the course. So
okay, so these sound to me like traits that whether the person went into esports or not, they could be pulled into other industries as well too. I mean, shoutcasting, as you were talking about and you alluded to, while the student may not become an esports caster, they may actually start to work in normal, like traditional sport broadcasting, potentially, possibly, or something like that. Correct? So these things totally transfer into everything.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best things in education. I think we all are aware that as a parent, it could be quite natural to worry and be a bit concerned about if your son or daughter is going to go into education. There's a lot of money involved that you're going to commit to that program. And it's a bit of a worry because you as a parent, I'm sure, as you know, the child is as well, that they want to go into the right industry that's right for them. They want to, you know, it's going to be potentially 4 years of their life that they're kind of committing. And one of the things that we love about that is we've got kind of the match of the growth of the industry. Like we've got the support, and it's kind of a big value to say that you're in safe hands, you're in the right direction. So yeah, it's kind of, I would say that factor question really lays upon how I think parents would think, and I like to reassure them about that. So.
Now, not knowing a whole lot about Staffordshire, and you said that they already had a gaming degree at the university, and you obviously had the business school. Does Staffordshire connect in any special ways into the industry right now? I mean, I don't know what the environment is like in the UK. So, why Staffordshire? You know.
Sure. I think esports we refer it to as the West Midlands. So in the Midlands area, on that, I think. What's happened is games has really grown anyway, and it's kind of come away from just being everything involved in London, but it's kind of breached up into Manchester, Birmingham. So we have NEC, which host EGX, which is one of our biggest gaming events in the UK. We have Insomnia, all of these type of events on that host these large tournaments that we have in the UK, and I think Staffordshire has that kind of nice mix that we're in the middle of everything, and it makes very, very applicable and allows a lot of our students definitely to network with so many industry that is just around the block from us, and that's quite valuable. So I would say that lays quite heavy into the factor, but also the fact that we have a very successful employment rate from our business school. We also have the same on that with the games, and I think that kind of supports it. So,
well, it's been kind of nice too to see your journey because you really started this. This is the first year, correct, of the program?
Yes, yeah.
And I know through LinkedIn, you and I connected, and I connected with Rachel, and then I started to see some of your students also starting to pop up on LinkedIn, and I started connecting with some of your students. Tell us about your students because. You know, people, again, have stereotypes about what this may be. So are your students like all just boys who are just very focused on gaming, or is it a nice diversity of everybody?
Sure. I think the concern was we were going to get just one gender, mainly male dominated on that, of lads that maybe just want to come in and play games, and that's what they want to do. Thankfully, I think we marketed it really well. We have open days where students will come along with their parents and we explain what the program is. And then come the first day, they knew exactly what they're here for. And they know that it's to come in and learn the fundamentals of how to get yourself into the industry of esports, not to be a pro gamer. And I stress that's if you wanted to do that, you'll go to an academy. But the added value that's so nice about it is they're so enthusiastic. This is like both the male and females on our course. We have a girl as an example, called Kathleen. She is one of the most enthusiastic people I've ever seen in my life period. Always asking if she can get involved in more things. What else can she possibly be doing to grow her portfolio? We're only 3 months into a brand new course. And we've got many individuals like her showing her passion to what she wants to do. She's acting like she's finishing in her last year already, trying to get into industry when she's only 3 months in, and that's just astounding. I love their passion.
I love that you talked too, because you touched on the idea of the branding, and I know you and I have had conversations with Garvey. And it seems that, when you focus just in on the games, you lose out on this beautiful opportunity that you have to work with kids. And while, again, you talked about being in industry and, connecting with industry, but you alluded to her talking about her brand. And that's one thing I think that students don't really take seriously enough until it's too late or they kind of have that aha moment of developing their own personal brands and actually starting to put themselves out there and monetize in ways that, I'm 43 years old. I never had that opportunity to do that when I was in college. I had to do everything with interviews, and I had to show up, and I had to meet people one-on-one, and I had a very closed circle. You may have seen it differently in your educational experience, but, for a kid who's, I keep saying it, a young lady who is 18 years old, who is now very serious about her brand and connecting into industry, that's a huge win coming out of, even if she, I don't want to say I hope she finishes college. I hope she finishes your program to end and isn't snatched up before. But, that's a potential possibility too. I mean, if you think about it, as these kids start to grow in the industry.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think we do have a similar issue around the world in academia where young individuals go into, or to be honest on that, even lads and girls that come into the program at a later age. I think on that in academia we don't maybe assist as enough as we could to get them to start building their portfolio from the word go, because in my eyes, when you get to university, you've made such a journey, I'm sure, to get to that point. You're about to take that next big step in your life. And why not start from the very beginning? Go on to some of these great sites that are free as well, where you can just build a portfolio up. And when you make that work, yes, some of it might not be great, but if you put it on there and then over time you see that improvement, you'll notice how much you've grown, and not just a lecturer going, here's the grade. You're either going to pass or you're going to get a distinction. You're either going to get the low or the high grade, and then we just value their success on that. I think it's so much more than that. I think it's about how they've grown as an individual, and the life lessons that they've learned. I think that's one of the biggest things that my students are already telling me, that they're becoming so much more mature and learning all these great skills to put them into work, that's valuing them aside from the education.
But it's not putting.
I think they're getting the best of both.
But it's not just putting them into work. I don't like that term, because as you were talking about, these are kids intrinsically motivated. Yeah, and it's that thing where if you wake up every day and you do what you love, you don't call it work. It's just what you do. It's your passion, and you're just following your passion. And really, what we're setting up kids to do is really be successful and follow the passion that they have, and along the way make money while they do it.
Yeah. And no, that's true.
I know in my realm, in below university level, that we have done a really poor job with helping kids to develop brand, because up until now, for the majority of students who are in high school and younger, school has been done to them. They've been told what classes to take, what time to be at school, listen to a bell, you got to go see this teacher, then you got to go see this teacher. And a lot of times, and again, my background is public education. I was a school teacher for several years, and I've come across teachers who take such control over the learning in a class. Sure. That, you know, they talk about scope and sequence, and they talk about we have to do this on this date, and this on this date, and this on this date, and students are just disconnecting from that now. I mean, there's nothing that says we can't just turn over the reins of control to kids a lot more than we have been, and assist them on, even before they get to you, starting to develop these brands. At least get their toes in the water. We don't have to make it something that's graded, but you know, it's amazing to see what kids create when just left to their own devices, and you can kind of start to see where their passions are. And it just because it's an English class doesn't mean we can't talk about like the NASEF has developed curriculum for high school English classes that do talk about business writing and developing business plans. And the great thing about these business plans is we don't have to make up fake widgets anymore. The business plan could be around yourself, branding yourself.
Yes, yeah, that is, yeah, it's so true. I'm seeing such great examples, isn't it? I know a lot of students that come into university out of school, and they say that education was never for them. They don't even, half the time they're so unsure that they've even made the journey right for themselves that come to university, because they're so worried about how education has been such a linear thing for them. Mm-hmm. But now coming into such an environment where we support their ambitions, which is why I love things like societies. We had so many students from the word go, you know, is this possible? And that's something where I love to go, well, it is. Like I think if the academics can support that passion, that leads to the students being more kind of non-linear focused, and they can grow better without just kind of being told, here's the one direction, you take this one direction, it leads you to success. That's not necessarily true. There are other ways to do it as well. It's just a guideline. And that's something I really am enjoying seeing from these students already. They're kind of already taking their ideas and growing them, but they're putting themselves on LinkedIn already, which I think is a fantastic way of connecting with people, but also growing your personal portfolio. They're making portfolios for themselves. They're making events happen. These aren't things they really have to do until into the, like, when they kind of would get told in the program, but I think they've kind of seen that passion from the academics as well, and just gone, yeah, like, this is great. And it's come from networking with, you know, fantastic people like yourself on that, and other members that we've had in our panels in the industry. It's really nice to see. It really is. It's very refreshing.
Now, and I can't imagine being an 18-year-old, you know, going back. So I was 18 in 1993, well before all this. And I can't imagine going back then and somebody coming to me and saying, hey, you know, you can get a degree in this. Like, that would have, yeah. That would have just, you know, melted my brain. I don't know if there was and that's the other thing too, is I don't know if there's high school counselors who really even, you know, understand that and can tell children, you know, hey, this is available for you to do as a career. So what have you had to do as order to get the word out, you know, to, you know, I'm sure most of your students are coming from the UK. So what have you had to do to get the word out to them?
Sure. I think it's been a factor of matching the general stigma that games are surrounded by, since we've always had, which is someone kind of just sitting at home and playing the games and having a very unhealthy maybe lifestyle. I think we've had to market the values of that this is a growing business. It's excelling across the world. It's a form of entertainment that is, you know, has viewership that matches our Super Bowl numbers. And that you know, those are things that have been around for embedded in our culture for years. Here's something else on that, a new form of, well, not necessarily a new form of that, but an form of entertainment that's kind of now getting a bit more respect around it as well. And I think we've had to just carefully market it the right way. And open days are very valuable. I think on that, parents and students should always have access to a day where they can speak to the people that are going to teach the course, speak to the people on that have put the course together. I think it's those careful steps in academia that will actually get someone to feel more comfortable with the idea and understand it. I think my biggest thing I always say is if someone's lost and they don't, maybe they're even kind of slate something off or go against it quite hard. I think that's because they don't understand. I think on that, it's understanding in anything is a massive thing to learn. And if we do that well, then we get the good response that we've luckily had on that. So.
Well, so what has been, I'm going to ask you this in two parts, and you might have already answered the first part, but I'm going to ask you, and you can choose which one you want to do first. What's been your biggest surprise, or I guess I don't want to say disappointment, but what's been the biggest surprise as you've gone along with this? And the other side of it is, what is your biggest success? You talked about the student, I believe her name was Kate, and her developing her brand and being the most enthusiastic, but is there been like a really huge positive that's come out of it that surprised you, and something that has been kind of like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about this, happening?
Sure. I think the two surprises that's come together is I never expected the universities to get behind a program that's could be considered as very risky to start. As well as what they have. I think we've got incredible staff that have supported this, and a perception of a student I know when you sometimes first come in is you're worried that you're in the wrong place maybe, or on that are you going to fit in, and we kind of make our university a very family orientated place, and I think that the university have a great slogan called proud to be staffs. And we put that all over social media, because the biggest thing that I have learned is we are very proud to be who we are, and I think that reflects in the amount that they financially put into this course, creating fantastic facilities. That was very surprising. I didn't expect them to go to the lengths they have, but they really have, and the staff that we've employed are so enthusiastic. That was great to see. Coming into the job, but also still coming fresh from a student myself. And then I think the added bonus to that's been both to the second question and to the first on the first surprising is to see that the students really have come to do what we were on about them doing. They get the best of both worlds. Don't get me wrong. Like we encourage them. Still, like, if gaming's your thing, do what you're gonna game. Like, obviously, like we're not gonna put a bolt on and say it's business only from here.
Right. So you get to play games. You get to have fun. You get to honor the importance of play and all this.
Yeah, it's part of university, so they get the societies and they can go play their games still. And we at the university in the degree, we don't actually teach gaming and how to be a pro gamer, but because of the nature of the course, we have attracted people of a high level, and they get to mix with others. That's why we have, like, as example, we're the #1 Overwatch team, I think, in the UK. But that's just kind of happened out of nothing, really. That's the students just continuing their passion of gaming.
That's excellent.
But they're also getting great grades because they know that they're being allowed to express themselves in something they want to do, but they're also growing in the sector that they know. The statistics to be a pro gamer is unlikely, but they want to get into the industry. So the fact that they're getting to mix with people that love what they do and love and kind of we understand what they love too, we can give them the whole package, and I think that's been the greatest thing as a result of the surprise to see. So.
I was trying to get towards the end of the interview here now, but you said something that also just piqued another question. That's a great thing, I guess, about this podcast, is I can continue to go on. You talked about setting up the facilities and what the university has given you as far as facilities. Something that I have thought about a lot lately, and I would love to get your thoughts, and maybe you have students who could tackle this as a question perhaps for one of your courses. I would love to see what some of their thoughts are. Sure. And I don't know if Staffordshire has a school of design or anything like that. I feel that the esports performance space, where we have competitions, and the practice space even, are designed, I feel like they're flawed. And hear me out. I feel like they're flawed because a lot of times we have students sitting in screens, and the screens are like this in their faces, and they're very focused on what the screen has, but they're supposed to be working with teammates, right? and they've got their headphones and they're doing verbal communication. And I feel what's being missed in all of this is that the design of these spaces have basically been computer labs that have been given LED lights and nicer chairs and faster processors and more RAM and better video cards. And we haven't even started to scratch the surface on nonverbal communication skills, being able to make eye contact with somebody across the table from you. One of the things I always thought about was I used to play a game. It's a very popular game at Purdue University where I went to school called Euchre. I don't know if you've ever heard it before. It's a card game. It's a team.
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, well, it's a team card game, and you're not supposed to talk to you're not supposed to communicate with them what cards you have. It's almost like bridge in a lot of ways. Or okay, but there's a lot of nonverbal communication. If you're a good player, there's a lot of nonverbal communication that takes place. So you can almost know what the person has as far as their suits go. And there's something about, to me, that like a glance, like a raise of the eyebrow, a hand gesture, something that gets somebody's attention. While yes, you're doing all the verbal communications, there's a lot that can be said a lot faster in a glance than what can be said in a microphone. So I almost feel like I want to challenge your students to ask the question, is this the best space to be a competitive gamer? Is this the best space for performance? Even as I look at what the NBA has done, so NBA 2K League, they have not set their players up in a flat setting. They actually have them in a round, but the round is...
Yeah, I found that very interesting myself.
Okay, so maybe I don't know if you have a school of design or architecture or something nearby at Staffordshire, but that's something, if you talk to the marketing kids or the kids who are focused in on event planning, I would love to get their insights and their thoughts into, is this even the best way to do this? Have we really thought far enough ahead into this to be, looking at performance space?
Sure. Yeah, I think that is a very interesting question. I think they would definitely love to give some feedback on that, considering they do their extracurricular and they play games quite frequently, and they're always talking about improving a space or having an area where they can even just do that to get instead of kind of being at home. I think that's something they would really getting quite interested in answering. I can definitely find out if we have a architectural area as well. But yeah.
As I said, as you and I talked earlier, I am going to be coming. At least I'll be in Ireland from March 20th to April 1st. I would love to possibly just come over, and if that's a conversation piece we could have, or if something they could work on before. I don't know how you build it into your class schedule, but that's something I would just love to talk to your students about one-on-one and just find out from them exactly what their thoughts are around space and space design as regards to esports, because that I feel is going to be, I feel that that's just going to be a huge industry going forward. Now that people are spending a lot of money on desktops and things like that, but you see the chair I'm sitting in is this IKEA wooden thing, and it's sitting on an old roll top desk. So I just feel like this is something that university students might get their hands around that is unique to you guys even.
Sure. Yeah. No. I think it is a great point. It's the same with any entertainment industry. Like we are quite still young. We're learning a lot of things, and I think it could start with these new, young individuals coming out with their experience and acting on that and improving performance. Could definitely be based around things like body language and how could you effectively utilize that in space. I think that is very true. Also for any sport that exists on that, to be honest, and I can definitely see that inside esports as well, considering you are sitting there with someone, and as an example, say someone that gets very emotionally into the game, you'll be able to see that. Sometimes maybe is it that you're better to be blocked off, or maybe you're better on that to be verbally seen more, because if you've got maybe a captain in sports, a captain can be vital to your team. He expresses it. You want to see that person with all their emotion and giving that strong verbal but also eye contact, and that can really motivate someone out of a hard spot. So maybe methods where they can see that the kind of their team more is a better way of doing things. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting topic. We'll definitely talk about it when you visit.
Excellent. Well, Stuart, we are almost we're almost at full time, I guess. That I said, we try to keep the podcast around 30 to 45 minutes. But I want to give you an opportunity to make a pitch for Staffordshire and your program. So if we wanted to isolate this out and just take this away. So where can they find out more about you? Where can they find out more about the program?
Sure. If you want to find out more about the program, go to Staffordshire University.ac.uk. You can find out information on all the courses we do there, and you'll get to see all the staff and their profiles on their background. So we have like PhD professors, etc., doing research. And that's something that we're very keen in. So we like to take new motivated students with a passion to do what they love. So you can find the esports course on there as well. I would probably join us on that if you're looking to do the esports, if you're truly passionate about that industry. As me and James have said, it's not about the gaming aspect on that. It's about getting into the industry that you love. And we will support that in the very best way we can. If you want to find me, you can find me on. I usually say LinkedIn's probably the best method on that. But you can also find me. And very welcome to always email me about the program at stuart.kosters@staffs.ac.uk.
Excellent, Stuart Kosters. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
No
It's been a long time coming, man. I'm glad we could do it.
Yes, I'm really happy.
All right, thank you much. That will do it for this week on the Academy of Esports. I've been your host, James O'Hagan. You may follow me on Twitter at Jim O'Hagan, at JIMOHAGAN, and through the Academy of Esports account at TAO Esports. It's a great way to get the latest blog posts, podcast episodes, and news coming out of esports and education. And remember, you can continue your engagement by going to www.taoesports.com. You can also connect through Facebook at www.facebook.com/TAOesports. Thanks again for listening, and I look forward to our time again next week.